Hello, and welcome to this lecture entitled The Reflective Memo, Taking Interpretive Notes. We'll define a reflective memo, examine the differences between it and taking notes from sources in order to gather data, and go over each step in how to produce reflective memos for your research and interpretive sources. This lecture summarizes and embellishes ideas developed by Dr. Raul Pacheco Vega in his eponymous blog. See your assigned readings or search the internet using his name for more information. Reflective memos are the second of 4 steps in writing your historic literature review. Even if you do not include a particular source in your lit review, writing a reflective memo about it strengthens your grasp of its argument and does not take a particularly long time. Manageable memos usually reflect manageable source lengths, so consider doing them for articles and book chapters. If you do a reflective memo on a complete book, you might consider building that from chapter by chapter memos. Reflective memos allow you to summarize and engage your sources. They are similar in feel to taking notes, but they have a fundamentally different point. When you take notes from a secondary source, you record data points because that source is more convenient than if you made a trip to the archives where that source's author got their information. When you write a reflective memo, rather, you summarize the source's argument, beginning with identifying the article's thesis statement. Next, you engage each source's argument. You can include your own response to the overall argument or any particular component of it, and you can compare the argument of that source to arguments made by other sources addressing that topic. When you summarize the source's argument, write down quotations and cite the page number in a parenthetical notation that support your summary. For example, when you summarize the source's claim, quote the thesis statement ending with a page number in parentheses. When making other summary points, include a quotation in support and cite its location. Because some of your engagement might come from other sources, or because you know other sources engage the same topic, consider adding bibliographic entries for these. Next, begin your reflective memo by choosing a source. You should have a preliminary or an annotated bibliography of sources you are considering, so choose one from that list that best addresses your research question or supports your claim, and do that first, and then do a triage on the other sources so you have them lined up by importance to your claim or relevance to your topic. You've probably already pulled data points from any particular one of those sources, so you already have an idea what the arguments are. Now read that source with the goal of summarizing and engaging its argument. Mark passages of interest and seek quotes that support your summary of the arguments in that source. If you're using a copy of the work that you do not own, or if you don't like to write in your own sources, consider using sticky notes to mark passages. Here's a caveat. Do not use sticky notes on old sources, and do not put sticky notes on the text itself. Even though the adhesive in sticky notes is weak, you can still damage an old page and it'll pull ink right off of the page itself. Once you've marked the text, you can begin writing your memo. First things first though, at the top of the memo, write a full bibliographic citation to the particular source, using the bibliographic form and making the file name the author's last name, title, and year. Helps you keep your memos in order, and you'll never have to wonder what source you've used. If you think you'll remember what source you used, so you just add the author's name at the top, Trust me, the chances are you'll not remember. Scholars have robust vocabularies of cuss words that we deploy when we make this rookie mistake, which we all do regularly. Begin your summary. In the very first sentence, name the author and summarize the claim. Using phrases like author X argues that or author X claims that, the more blatant you are, the more useful your memo will be to you later. To support your summary of the author's claim, quote the thesis statement. Now summarize the author's points in your own words, then add quotations that support your summaries. These should be located by in-text page number notations. The bibliographic citation at the top of the page tells you what source the quotes are from, but not what page they came from. So add that afterwards. Engage each point of the entire summary with your own ideas or by comparing that author's points with points made by similar authors. If you quote other authors, used a parenthetical in-text citation of the author's last name and page number, then include that source in a short bibliography at the end of the memo. You can expand that bibliography by including other sources on the topic as an aide-memoire for you later. Let's look at an example. Although you'll see an example of a fully formed reflective memo in your assigned readings, let me show you my own version done in the early 1990s. Now here's the background. My doctoral major professor insisted that all of his students in seminars summarize and analyze each one of their different readings on a single sheet of paper. Then we were to bring a copy of those single page summaries for every other seminar member. At the end of the term, we'd all have reflective memos on approximately 10 books that we had read, multiplied by the number of students in the class, all of whom read different books. When I began my reading for my preliminary exams and my reading list was over 200 books, I made similar memos on 5x7-inch index cards that I still refer to. Here's one of them. In my illegible chicken scratching, this one's for Samuel Haber's Important to Me book, The Quest for Authority and Honor in the American Professions, 1750 to 1900. The only difference between this and what I've outlined is that I don't compare Haber with other sources, though I read many others that deal with the same point. Reflective memoing is a tried and true technique for engaging an argument instead of just plundering a source for convenient data. I encourage you to use it. And this ends the lecture. As always, thanks for your attention.